Sleep Chief is having their 2-week Black Friday sale starting November 24th and going until December 8th. Everything in their store will be 20 to 60% off. There will additionally be restocks and new product drops, including their recently announced Flame Brothers collection. So make sure to check it out and use my coupon code The Eggman for an additional 5% off on top of everything. Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and as we're closing the OP08 meta here and going into the OP09 meta for North America, I want to make this discussion video of if we're going to get a restriction list going on into OP09. We've had restrictions for the last two metas for OP07 and OP08, so it's not unheard of for them to think about doing one for OP09. I also think this is a pretty impactful meta because this is our second finals format here in North America. We have a large event in January at the Bandai Card Fest there, and so a lot of people have already been testing OP09, and if there's any changes, they have to be announced pretty quickly to be able to adjust to a newer format if that ends up being the case. But I want to kind of go over my thoughts of what the end of OP08 looked like, what OP09 is currently kind of looking like in Japan, and any thoughts on what will get hit if there's anything. So I will say this is an opinion piece. This is just kind of to reflect on data and present my personal opinions. These are my opinions. They are not your opinions unless they just happen to be. So don't think that this is a call for action or complaining, but just again discussion on what my thoughts are and any predictions that might happen in the next couple weeks too. So we're going to jump on into it though. So end of OP08.5. This is all data that's on my website Eggman Events, so you can make sure to check that out. But for 8.5 we did have 10 large events and we still have a couple more coming, but of them, we did have 5 top 32s and 5 top 16s. And of these 10 events, we did have 3 BY winners, 2 Bonnie winners, 2 Anel winners, 1 Vegapunk, 1 Dofi, and 1 Nami. So we do have quite a good mix of different leaders winning. I think BY was pretty clearly the best leader from winning, and I would still say that BY is probably the best deck in the 8.5 meta. Additionally, if we're looking at just decks that have topped in this meta in general, we did have 68 Star Deck 13 Luffy, 56 of Dofi, 46 Lucci, 28 Bonnie, 24 Nell, 6 of the Nami, 3 of the OP05 Purple Luffy, 2 Marco, 2 of the Star Deck 13 Luffy, and then Vegapunk, Betty, Katakuri, Smoker, and Zoro. So pretty clear, as I've been saying for a while, that the best 5 decks in this game right now are BY, Dofi, Lucci, Bonnie, as well as Anel. If I was to put 6, I'd still say my boy Marco is doing pretty good, and we might see an uptick of it because I think it's been a little bit more popular lately, but generally speaking, this is what our meta has been looking like, and you can kind of see like almost 75% is the Luffy, Rob Lucci, and the Doflamingo. So I know that's been a little bit rough for some people. You know, BY has been pretty much essentially meta since release, and then doubly so since OP07, so it's for the last little bit. Lucci's been 100% meta since release. Doflamingo got the resurgence, and then Bonnie as well. And then Anel's kind of just like fluctuated through the rest of this year if it's like super good or not. OP07 getting the ace has been very good, and I think the biggest thing is that the OP08 meta did not change a lot. The 8.5 where we got the star decks did get a different uptick of decks coming around, but in general I think this kind of shows what our meta looks like, and it's still moderately diverse. I think we've had worse metas, but I know some people want a little bit more variety, especially with the prevalence of cards like Gecko Moria and decks like Rob Lucci as well as BY. So that's kind of like what our meta looks like at the end of 8.5. And then for Japan, I don't have as much data as I usually do, so I do apologize, but I've been kind of keeping an eye on it. There was one large event for the end of OP09 in Japan this past weekend, and of their top 16 they did have 4 copies of BY, 3 copies of Doflamingo, 1 copy of the red and black Luffy, 1 copy of Betty, 1 copy of Bonnie, 1 copy of Nami, and then a purple Luffy, a purple black Luffy, a Smoker, a copy of Teach, as well as a copy of the Rob Lucci. So I do think like that's pretty diverse from what this is, right? We had 12 different leaders top, right? That's a good amount of diversity, and I think there is a lot of different decks that are pretty viable for this next meta. And then additionally, I think from my testing that I've done so far, I've done a week or two of testing in OP09 so far. Teach is going to change the game quite a bit. I won't say that it's the best leader outright, but I will say it is the most impactful leader for this next meta. He plays the game completely different. The ways that he just negates on play abilities and his 10 cost, like it just kind of warps how the game works in so many levels. So because of that, I do think that there is going to be a moderately big meta shift, and if not only just like what leaders are viable, at least what your deck construction has to be like to play around what Marshall D. Teach kind of presents to the table. So because of that, I do think that the meta in OP09 is generally pretty healthy in a lot of ways, and because of that, these are the cards that I think need restrictions. I generally do not think there's anything that super needs to be hit right now. I think that this is generally going to be pretty good into OP09. This could be a case of I've seen it a couple of times before where Japan's like moderately healthy, and then like we're just playing our aggro decks, right? That's kind of happened with red for us in like OP04. We were still just playing Newgate and Zoro and Law in three for the most of the year of the previous year. So, but outside of that, I think that this is a pretty healthy meta that we're going on into OP09. I think there could have been like some more restrictions in OP08 potentially, but I think that's going to be kind of balanced out in this new card set as well. So that's kind of like where my head is on that side of it. But kind of continuing the video, I know like it's kind of lame to do this and then like not have any cards that I think need to be hit. So we'll talk about a couple cards and combos, but I don't think outright. I would not be surprised if there's not a restriction list, is what the main thing from this one. So but these are the strongest leaders I think in the game, in my opinion. I still think BY is really strong. I still think Doflamingo is going to be really present in OP09, and then also we have Marshall D. Teach and or Rob Lucci, right? I think both these, even though they're like wildly different black decks, they are very strong in their own way. Lucci still just kind of gets around, but like it's now has a bad matchup, and not only like BY Luffy, but also Marshall D. Teach is just like a really tough matchup for it, because you can really turn off their Gecko Morias pretty consistently. So they kind of have to adjust to that kind of gameplay. But if I wanted to try to like answer some of this for this, one thing I do want to say is that I think this combo has been almost degenerate, if not pretty degenerate, in this game since it's existed in OP06. The fact that you can Moria with Rebecca, you get like so much value with it. It's moderately free to do so, and there's just not a lot that any deck outside of Gecko Moria can really, or Marshall D. Teach can really do about it. So one kind of thought that we've been looking at this combo for most of this year, right? This is a pretty strong interaction, and potentially too strong, with a lot of people saying it is too strong. So I have been seeing like, okay, Rebecca should be restricted to a Dressrosa leader, which we also have a new one in OP10 with Usopp, so that would be like another way to use this Rebecca. Gecko Moria, the same thing. We have like these Thriller Bark leaders that could take advantage of this, which this card was meant to help support, but Rob Lucci, Sakazuki, BY, they've all done really good jobs at taking advantage of this card. So being outside of an errata, another functional thing they could do is this choice restrict, and this is something that happened in the Union Arena card game recently this month. They announced for this new set that has released just this weekend that these two different cards cannot be included in the same deck. This Yuji and the Sukuna cannot be in the same deck, and so that's a way to help the balance for it and make it so you don't get like the super duper acceleration for what the Yuji's doing for the Sukuna. So that could be something. I don't know if they want to go down that route. It'd be unprecedented for this card game right now, but it's something that Bandai has done for their other card games previously. There's something similar to this in Digimon right now as well. So this could be a solution if they still think like Gecko Moria and Rebecca are too strong of a combo, is that you just restrict it so they can't be put in the same deck at the same time. I don't think this is going to be happening, but I do just kind of want to mention it as something that exists in their other card games right now. So the other thing is that Doflamingo, is it too good? It's probably fine. We do kind of need like an aggressive deck. I will say that Jinbei is a very strong card in the deck. Just the fact that this card just really does it all. I think both these cards are overtuned, but Jinbei being able to be a 4-drop 5k, that's a 1k counter that plays another 4 cost for free. is pretty ridiculous in my mind still. And then Boa, I didn't think this card was super cracked, but the more I see it, I'm like, man, this does literally everything the deck needs to do. So I don't think there's anything that really needs to happen for Doflamingo right now. But if there was, I think it'd be probably one of these two need to be adjusted in one way or the other. But it's probably fine. I'm not hard campaigning for it, but I do kind of respect that BY is, that Doflamingo is just very strong. And then the last one is just BY, and I don't really know like a great way to answer this deck. It's been, again, a menace. It plays its own card game, right? It's not really playing one piece. It's playing the the Gecko Moria, get down to 0 life quickly kind of scenario. I do think that Teach is a really tough matchup for this deck. So if that ends up being really present for the meta for us in OP09, Luffy's going to have a harder time getting the top, but it can still do it. It can still do a lot in this. The fact that the 2-drops are still an on-play ability means, an activate main ability instead of an on-play, means you still can make yourself a big 9k leader. I've been seeing a couple builds for BY to be able to answer Teach specifically, and that's a little bit tougher for the. It's not an impossible matchup. I think it's unfavored for Luffy, but it's something that you can adapt to and make it more in your favor in a lot of ways. So I think that this is a deck that is going to be present for essentially a long time, if not ever, until there's either like just direct hate towards it or there's some kind of change for how the deck mechanic works. So I do think like it's a bit unfortunate that 8-drop Moria exists for this deck, and the fact that it does what the deck wants to do anyways, where you bring back your 2-drops, but it just does it so well, right? I kind of hope that they make like I've been talking about this for a while, but I think the best way to fix this deck is that we make this 2-drop or some other way to recycle your 2-drop bodies, but you do it like not with an 8-drop 9k body, right? Like maybe it's like a 5-drop 6k that you have to like discard a card. You know what I mean? Like something like that to make it a little bit more fair, instead of like getting 2 bodies for free and also on top of an 8-9. I think that's pretty tough to really overcome value wise right now with where this game is at. So I don't really know the best way to, if there's going to do any restrictions towards this Luffy. I don't think it really exists in the first place. So it's going to be tricky to see if that. I think this is still going to be probably one of the better decks in this game still, and I know that's kind of rough for some people, and it is pretty tough because this is such a good deck, and again it plays its own game, right? You don't really have a great way to play around it, but I don't know what to really say about this guy. In fact, besides like it's pretty dumb to play against it sometimes, and I think a lot of people are about reach their limit, but it also kind of rewards a really skilled player, so I think that's very strong as well. So kind of in conclusion though, I think OP09 will be a pretty large meta shift, at least larger than OP07 to OP08 with our restriction list, and because of that I wouldn't be surprised if there's no restrictions going on into OP09, and if there are, I hope they announce it pretty soon, because again a lot of people have been testing for the Bandai Card Fest meta, which is OP09, and it was OP09 vanilla, just to get a confirmation for that. Will just mean like a lot of people will be more relieved in their testing and really kind of gear up to it. So that's kind of my thoughts for it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts going on into OP09 as well. And I don't think there's going to be any restriction list per se. And if there is, I'd be moderately surprised at this point too. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.